This morning I shot some test film. I wanted to try out Arista EDU 100 for my 8x10 black and white because the film that I like to use, T-Max 400, has just gotten a little bit too expensive lately. So I went out and I took some shots just from my front porch, nothing really exciting, just the house across the street. But I thought I'd go ahead and develop them and print them just to see what they look like and if I can get a good film speed and development time. I wasn't really thinking about making a video about it, but I decided to go ahead while I'm in the darkroom to do so. But my wife took some photos that I put up on Instagram, and I also want to test out the Turner Reich triple convertible lens that I talked about in the Edward Weston video, because I've just never used it. So I did a shot at 12 inches and one at 21 inches because that camera won't go to 28. Since I have the Cinar camera, I'd have to mount the lens onto a different lens board, and I'll do that another time. So I've got the film developed and I'm set up to print, so let's move over to the enlarger and see what we got. Okay, so I am out of 8x10 paper. So we're not going to let this opportunity go to waste. Let me see what else we've got. I am not wearing a mic, by the way. I've got my microphone right here, so sound may go in and out as I kind of look around my dark room. Just FYI. So let me see what paper I've got. I do have, so Lodema grade 2 Azo replacement, and we can use this, but like Azo, it's not fast enough for the enlarger. So I'm going to have to come up with another light source. Let me find my Azo printing light. Okay, I found my light, but it's not going to do me any good because apparently since the last time I printed Azo, I have since decided I'm not going to use this anymore, and I cut the cord. So we're not going to be using this. Now this is a 300 watt flood lamp. You might think, well, why don't you just put that then in a another socket? Well, this is what's called a mogul bulb. And it doesn't exactly fit. I don't know if you can see that. This is socket bulb. Not gonna go. This is way too big. So that's the only mogul size socket I've got. So we're not going to be putting it in there. Alright, so we're not going to use that. Can't use the enlarger. Got this lamp. I don't think that one's going to work because it's not even enough. It's, I don't know, it's got weird hot spots, so that's not going to be good for printing. Tell you what, we can just try the room lights because I've got these two recessed lights in here. Let me turn off my video lamp. We've already seen with my video where I try to use this in the enlarger that it takes too long to warm up and then turn off, so it's a little too inconsistent for contact printing. but the recessed lighting here. We'll give that a shot. So let me turn the video light off, and we'll get set up right here instead of the enlarger and see if we can make a contact sheet here with the room lights. That also means, get that out of the way, that also means I can't use my timer, because there's no way I'm going to be able to plug the room timer into my, or my ceiling lights with a regular wall switch into my timer. I've got, okay, I've got my metronome. However, my kids are literally on the other side of this wall sleeping, and this is kind of loud. So I'm going to phone out here. I'm going to download a metronome app, and I'll use an earbud to listen to it. Okay, let's now that the video light is gone, let's turn the lights out and load up some paper. Well, that was a bust. Water off here. So it's virtually blank. I can barely see anything at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Actually, somewhere in here I doubled the time. So this is 30 seconds and it's barely doing anything. So room lights are not going to be intense enough. So, new plan. Alright, so I don't have a 300 watt flood lamp. That's not going to be bright enough because it's only 75 watts. These aren't bright enough. I think these are about 60 watts. Okay, so what do I have? I have an enlarger bulb. So that that enlarger takes 4 300-watt halogen bulbs, and they're MR16s. And in the closet of the room over there, I've got a recessed lighting track that was my viewing light. Let me go grab that. Okay. So I got this. Let's put the bulb in. I had 3 lamps on it. I went and took the other 2 off because I don't really need the other 2 lights on here. It's actually on. That's not 300 watts. Is that going bad? No, this is a 12 watt. Okay, man, I should have thought of that. So this unit takes 12 watt bulbs. This is 110 watts because that has 110 watt power, or 120 volt. Sorry, 120 volt bulb. This is a 12 volt, so it's only a tenth of the power. Okay, that was a waste. Let's get this out of the way. LED. That's not going to work. Will this work? Alright, this might work. So I got this. This is an adapter. It takes a MR16 bulb. And now it's an Edison, and I got this for that, and then this ended up being excruciatingly bright, and I took it down. That I keep pointing to is a Kodak Beehive safe light with a Solux bulb in it that shines down here. And I got this from under my cabinet. This works, but I need a more convenient switch. These. Okay, still going to have to use the metronome because I don't have a timer consistent enough with a 2-prong plug. The timer up there has a special plug and I don't have any adapters, so let's give this a shot. this isn't going to work. It's fully black. And we're going to fix it just to be consistent. But there is no image. So 300 watt is clearly too powerful. I've not used this paper before, actually. I've had it ever since it was first introduced. Apparently it's faster than Azo was. But I don't have another bulb, so we're going to make this work. So what I'm going to do is, I don't have any kind of voltage adjuster, rheostat. Besides, it's not a dimmable bulb. My options then are limited. Fully black, no good. Okay, so what can I do here? I can make it dimmer. I don't have a different bulb. If this were the enlarger, I could stop it down. There's no lens to stop. Or I could raise the head. That I can do. So I can move this clamp where my video light goes, which will overhang, and I can move that down to the floor. That will triple the distance, so that would be 1.5 stops. Let's try it. Let's turn the room light off here. So we got this looks more hopeful. Okay. So 2 seconds is on the right track. It's a little too dark, but there's no way I can control this better using just a metronome. So I need to cut the light down more. Okay, so I need something. What have I got? Okay, I've got the white plexi acrylic from when we were doing masking and a few other things. That does reduce it. It does reduce the light. Some clamps. Let's give this a try. Alright, so this looks a lot more promising. We'll know better once we get the lights on in a minute. But I definitely see a patch that's too light, and I see one that looks like it might be just right. So that seemed to do the trick. Now, technically I could probably lay the plexi just directly on top of the glass, but I kind of like to see the negative, and this would completely obscure it otherwise. So just diffusing the light and blocking down a little bit do the same effect if you put it right over the glass, but that's just not necessary in this case. That's doing the job. It's ugly. We're definitely on the right track. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and believe it or not, 10 actually looks pretty good. And it's mostly just a test. I'm not making a fine print, and like I said, it's literally just the view across the street to test the lens, the film, and the developing time. Since obviously I couldn't show developing sheet film in trays with the lights out on video, what I did was I'm using PMK Pyro. I don't use the aftermath, it's just the developing stop and fix. I did double exposure, not double exposure, I exposed 2 sheets of film with one focal length lens to the other focal length, and then I developed all the film together for 10 minutes. At that point I took one from each lens out and then continued to develop one from each lens for another 5 minutes. So I got 10 minutes and then 15 minutes. And this is the negative for 10 minutes. The one for 15 looked a little too dense in the sky area, so I'm not even going to bother doing a contact sheet of that one, because looking at this, it looks like I'm getting the sky just about as much as I want in there. So 10 seconds look good, so let's make a full copy at 10 seconds and see where we're at. Well, at first glance, of course here I'm under the safe light, it looks pretty good, so I'm going to say 10 seconds is probably the right time. Since the other film was exposed the same, I used the same aperture and whatnot, I'm going to go ahead and just expose the other one for 10 seconds if this looks good. Expose the other one the same. I'm not going to bother doing a test strip. Just to check it out. Alright, now looks pretty good to me. I have to say that 21-inch element of the triple convertible is surprisingly sharp. Now, I only stopped down to f22 when I did these because I didn't want to induce diffraction. I wanted max depth of field before diffraction started to show up. So I've got some out of focus areas down here that were relatively close, but pretty much across the street on is pretty sharp. And I know a lot of people say it's not sharp enough to enlarge, it's just contact sheets, but there is right here a chain link fence, and I can clearly see the chain link is very small, but it looks pretty good. So I think this would be sharp enough to enlarge at least up to 16 by 20. I mean, we're only talking a 4-time enlargement at that point. Or was it 2-time enlargement? Doubled the length and width. So I think it would be fine for that. It's not going to fall apart. I mean, I'm not going to try to make mural size stuff out of it, but 10 seconds looks good. So let's do the other one for 10 and go from there. Look at the kids. So if that was the 21-inch, this is the 12-inch. Say I am slowly going insane from this metronome ticking away in my ear this whole time. this one looks fairly good too. I see a couple of things I want to check when the lights come on. Now, I don't expect the clouds necessarily to be as pronounced in this, even if the foreground is, because when you use the single element, there's a lot of chromatic aberration, which means basically the blue part of the spectrum doesn't focus at the same point. So you have a shot that looks slightly out of focus. So to counteract that, you block the blue out completely by using a deep yellow filter. In my case, I used a number 15 Ratten filter, and that's going to lower the cyan sky values relative to the white cloud. So I don't expect this to have the separation between sky and cloud. So we'll see. Because I didn't use it for the 12-inch. Make sure I close my box of paper. Okay, so here we go. Looks like the time is just fine for this as well. Contrast looks good overall for both of these. So I would say my developing time of 10 minutes is appropriate for a bright sunny day. I exposed these at half box speed as a place to start. With my experience with PMK, that's about on par. I know some people get full box speed. I've never gotten full box speed. I don't use the second staining bath, the used developer, since Gordon Hutchings doesn't recommend that anymore for any kind of image forming stain. It's just a general stain. So overall, this looks pretty good, so I'm pretty happy. It's not art shot or anything. It's just some hold on, we're done. Turn that off. Let me get this out of my ear. So let me stop that buzzing too. Get that off so we don't have that noise. Overall, I think this looks pretty good. It's got contrast. It's got good shadow detail. I'm gonna say 50 exposure index is really good instead of 100. 10 minutes is good developing time. That's a good median place to start. As far as the lens goes, it's sharp. I'm going to say the 12-inch just as sharp as the 21-inch. That would be expected. What I'm surprised at, and I was not expecting this, is I seem to be getting a pretty good vignette in the corners. Like I'm getting light fall off. There aren't any movements applied. I'll go back and double check. So I'm surprised that a lens for 8x10 is showing this sort of fall off without any movements. If that's the case, then it's kind of a limited lens. I'll check and make sure I didn't have anything out of whack. But overall, I think it turned out pretty good. I'm pleased with these as test prints. That was not my intent for this video, to spend most of it searching for a way to make a contact sheet. I was just going to talk about testing the lens mostly, and that kind of got thrown to the wayside in search of a light and whatever 8x10 paper I happen to have. So not the evening I planned, but hopefully it's been informative for you. So that's it. I'm done. What time is it? Yeah, it's 10:15, so I'm done for the night. I'm gonna clean up and go to bed. So thanks for watching. and we will see you next time.